We want to write the following products in the form of a plus bi. So the a represents a real number and the bi represents an imaginary number. So this is the format of a complex number. So we want to write this in the format of a plus bi. Okay, so we have double brackets. So we work these like we do our normal algebraic binomial expansion or double brackets questions. And sometimes some people would say like a half times a half times minus 4 a quarter I, 3 over 2i times a half, and 3 over 2i times minus a quarter I. But the way I like to do them is I like to break up the bracket. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to break up this bracket and I'm going to bring the half down here and the 3 over 2i down here, and then I'm going to multiply both of those terms by the second egg. So I've got my 2 eggs and I crack open the first egg, or I crack open the first set of brackets. I bring the half down here, the 3 over 2i down here, and then I multiply each of those terms by what's inside the second egg or the second set of brackets. So I've got a half minus a quarter I over here, and I've got a half minus a quarter I over here. Okay, so brackets mean multiply. So I'm going to multiply a half by a half, and then I'm going to multiply a half by minus a quarter I, and then I'm going to multiply 3 over 2i by a half, and then 3 over 2i by minus a quarter I. So a half times a half gives me a quarter, and a half times minus a quarter I gives me minus an eighth I. Then 3 over 2i times a half gives me 3/4 I. And 3 over 2i times minus a quarter I gives me minus 3 over 8 I squared. Now, very important, whenever we see an I squared, we're going to change it to minus 1, and we're going to put brackets around it. So this becomes minus 3 over 8 times minus 1. So the I squared becomes a minus 1 with brackets around it. A minus multiplied by a minus gives a plus, and 3 over 8 times 1 gives 3 over 8. And that is where this 3 over 8 comes from. So basically, this minus 3 over 8 squared ends up becoming plus 3 over 8. So the quarter stays as a quarter. The minus 3 over 8 I squared becomes plus 3 over 8. The minus 1 over 8 I and the plus 3/4 I have just been grouped together down here. So now we've got the numbers together, and the real parts together, and the imaginary parts together. Then a quarter plus 3 over 8 gives us 5 over 8, and that's our real part. So I'm labelling that as RE because that's my real part. My real part must always come first. And then 3/4 I minus 1/8 I gives me 5 over 8 I. And that must come second, and I'm labelling that as IM because that's my imaginary part. So the question asked me to write the following products in the form of A plus BI, A being the real part, which is going to be 5/8, that must be the first part, and BI representing the imaginary parts, 5 over 8 I being the imaginary parts. This is a tricky enough question because it's all fractions. For the first few parts we have to multiply fractions. The rule is top by top, bottom by bottom. And for the last few parts we have to add or subtract fractions, and our rule is that we find a common denominator.